FedEx facility in Indianapolis has shocked the Sikh community in the United States of America. 8 people were killed in the mass shooting, out of which 4 belonged to the Sikh community. Members of the community gathered outside the FedEx facility to mourn the loss of their loved ones. They held a candlelight vigil for the victims of the mass shooting.
Today, in a moment of unspeakable tragedy for our communities, we've lost 8 of our neighbors to a senseless act of violence.
Law enforcement agencies say that they are yet to determine the motive of the shooter, who is a 19-year-old white man. Sikh civil rights advocacy group has called for an investigation into the incident as they suspect it is a hate crime.
Time again, just want to reiterate that all public reporting is, and the investigation has not confirmed a motive in any way, shape, or form. That being said, it's very difficult for our community not to feel targeted, especially given the violence that we have endured for so long and for so many decades at this point. And I think it's also important to understand that the impact of what we are feeling feels very much like it feels anytime there has been a hate crime, one that has been categorized as a hate crime as such as well. So the impact on how the community feels, regardless of motive and intention, is no different.
About 90% of the workers at the FedEx warehouse near the Indianapolis International Airport are members of the local Sikh community. There are 8,000 to 10,000 Sikh Americans in Indiana alone. The Federal Bureau of Investigation has revealed that the shooter was briefly placed under psychiatric detention by police when his mother reported her concerns that he was contemplating suicide. A shotgun was seized from his home. The United States has witnessed a surge in gun violence. On March 16th, a white man went on a shooting rampage and killed 8 people in Atlanta, out of which 6 were Asian Americans. The recent shootings not only show a rise in discrimination against Asian Americans, but also racially inflammatory rhetoric in America. Joining us on this broadcast now is WION's principal diplomatic correspondent, Siddhant Sibbal, who's joining us. Siddhant, Sikh community in America is in shock, and rightly so. Authorities are probing the angle of a hate crime, and this has shocked the Indian administration as well. India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar also expressed shock at this mass shooting incident, isn't it, in which Sikh Americans appeared to have been deliberately targeted.
Well, yes, Shobit, there is a sense of outrage after this incident that took place last week. In fact, the Indian External Affairs Minister, as you pointed out, took to Twitter to talk about it. In fact, the Indian government has taken cognizance. The Indian Consul General in Chicago has spoken to the mayor in the location where the incident has taken place. But nonetheless, this is not the first time that the Indian American Sikh community members have been targeted. We know that before this, in 2012, the Wisconsin shooting was something that had shocked America back then as well. And this time also, there is a sense of shock that why this incident has happened. In fact, after 9/11, there were many attempts or discriminations against the Sikh community members, the Indian American Sikh community members. And this was something the community members felt that there needs to be more information about Sikhism in America. And of course, there has been attempts by the community members. But nonetheless, this time around, the community members, there is a sense of shock, there is a sense of grief, there is also a sense of collective purpose against that there should not be a future repetition of such instances. But it's very difficult to control such instances, particularly when it comes to growing calls by many Americans when it comes to gun reforms. In fact, the members of the Indian American community after the incident have also called for reforms when it comes to the gun reforms. But nonetheless, yes, this incident has taken place, and this incident is something that the Indian government has taken note as well. We do expect this week there can be more developments, particularly when it comes to the motive of this incident, because as of now there is no motive known, because the person who did the incident is dead, the 19-year-old person. So it looks like that yet another case of discrimination or xenophobia against the Indian American Sikh community members in US.
Siddhant, US President Biden called this shooting incident a national embarrassment, and he's right. If we look at the statistics, gun violence is an epidemic in America. In 2019, nearly 700 people died every week from gun violence in the United States of America. So onus is on the Biden administration to tighten gun control measures in America, isn't it?
Well, there will be more pressure now when it comes to Biden administration taking reforms when it comes to gun control. We know that the reaction also came last time as well when the Wisconsin incident happened. The incident happened in 2012. Back then also the then US President Barack Obama had in fact spoken on the same lines. The first lady, the former first lady Michelle Obama had gone to the Gurdwara as well where the incident had taken place. This time we do expect perhaps more American politicians going to the place. But nonetheless, this incident is something that increases the pressure on Biden administration to take reforms in the sector. This is something that has been a growing worry. And it's just not that the Sikh community members have been targeted in the past. There have been various elements in the American society who have come under attack because of this epidemic which you have talked about.
Siddhant Sibal, thank you so much for joining us. You know, hundreds of people continue to lose their lives in America to gun violence, but